An entitled lazy realtor demands that I find a home within 60 miles of where he lives, as he refuses to drive any further for me to find a home. But after trying to reason with this guy and find some kind of common ground, he simply refuses to help, demanding that I do exactly as he says. And after dealing with this guy's weird entitled attitude for long enough, I decided enough was enough. And as a result, I fired him from being my realtor and went in a different direction, causing this guy to miss out on thousands of dollars worth of commission money. Here's what happened. I found this realtor who was very annoying and very entitled, but he was also very organized and incredibly responsive, even if all the signs were pretty much printed out. So I decided to go with him to buy and sell. And then my friend, who was buying also, decided to go with him based on the positive things that I told her. Between selling my house, buying a new one, and my friend's new house sale, he would have made commission off a total of $1.5 million in sales. Now, I made it clear that I work remotely and I can live anywhere within a couple of hours any direction from where I currently live. After looking at 2 homes with him that didn't work, I sent him more listings that I wanted to check out. The 2 homes viewed were both 10 minutes and 45 minutes away from his house. He repeatedly mentioned how glad he was that the house was close to his, since that house was an extremely rare find and not your typical house that you would see. Well, these 3 listings that I wanted to look at were 1.5 hours away from his house and were all close to each other. He then tells me all arrogantly that he doesn't need the money from being a realtor. He said to us, "I'm retired and I just do this for fun, and I'm not going to go more than 60 miles or minutes away from my house because then I'll have to drive out there at least 5 times just to make the sale." Now, granted, he lives 45 minutes away from my house already, so this was impossible as the area he lives in is for very rich people, which is way out of my price range. So I asked him if he was working with any other realtors in that area that could help me with those viewings, and he said to me, "No, I don't share sales." So I politely let him know that this isn't going to work out and said I will need to find a new realtor, which worked out because I had not signed any agreements with him to be exclusive. Well, he's now furious and repeatedly tells me that he can find me a house close to his house and that I don't need to live wherever I wanted to go. But I explained to him that that is not his choice, and I don't want to be restricted to where he lives for my new home. It was like he was playing the role of my dad instead of my realtor. He then emails me another 4 long emails, doubling down each time about how I only need to live where he's decided that I should live for the sole sake of his driving time. He keeps mentioning how he showed me 2 houses already, and I just can't do this to him. He then tells my friend, "I think I made her mad. Tell her to respond to me right now," and then just repeats the whole thing to her, which was so unprofessional that she decided not to go with him either. And then to top it all off, he was talking garbage about me to the loan officer all before he finally went away, which is honestly for the best, because I would rather take my money literally anywhere else. Yeah, that realtor is a complete moron. Imagine missing out on a sale all because you're too lazy to drive and take it. In fact, in the comment section of the post, somebody did the math and they figured out that this guy missed out on $45,000 worth of commission. Like, that guy's a complete idiot. Who in their right mind wouldn't take that at the drop of a hat? Especially when all you gotta do is drive what, maybe an hour away? That's easy money he could have gotten just by being reasonable. And it's also crazy to me that this guy was like, "No, you live where I say you can live. You can't go out of this 60-mile bubble or I'm not gonna help you." Like, seriously, what a psychopath. And I don't care if you're retired or not. $45,000 is still $45,000. There's so much you could do with that even while you're retired working as a realtor. So yeah, this guy completely lost a massive sale, and I don't blame you for walking away for a second, because this guy sounds like an absolute nightmare. And if I was in your shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for telling my father that he should try to be a better parent for my half-sibling, as he was not a very good one for me or my sister? Because right now he is making my life miserable, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, my father was not a great parent to me or my sister. He never showed up for any of our school plays or any of our games. He never took the time to just spend with us, either as a family or just as a father with his son and daughter. 3 years ago, we found out my father had an affair, and he had a kid who was 3 years old at the time. My mom ended their marriage, and my father moved in with the affair partner and ended up marrying her once the divorce from my mom was finalized. So my sister and I were already done with our relationship. She had to spend custody time with him for a year, and and was around his wife before she was his wife and his other daughter in that time, but then she ended all contact when the courts gave her permission. I needed to go to him for custody until last year when the courts let me stop it, which is eventually exactly what I did. His daughter was really confused by it all, and she was told my sister and I were her siblings, but we did not make any effort to know her or be in her life. My father and her mother pumped her full of hope that we would be close, but my sister and I want no relationship. Now, my father's wife brings her daughter to my football games, and she has shown up to dance competitions I take part in too. Her daughter gets excited to see me, but I never want to see her at them. I try to be nice, but I would rather not talk to her at all. My father showed up once or twice as well, and when I ignore them, I see how much it hurts the kid. She saw my sister last month when I had a dance thing going on, and my sister refused to look over their way and actually left as soon as she could. I could see my father's daughter crying, and yes, I know she's technically my half-sister, but I have no love for her. I have no interest in being her brother, and I have no wish to have a family life with her. Now, I don't blame her, I blame my dad, but she also means nothing to me, so I call her my father's daughter instead. Now, my father knows all of this, and after the dance thing last month, I reached out to him for the first time in a year, and I told him that he should try to be a better dad to her and to stop letting these games be played. I told him we will never want her, and he knows that, so he should protect her and focus on giving her a good life instead of putting us in positions to be jerks and ignore her or to make her more hopeful. He ranted and raved at me that we made him sound like a worse dad than he was to us, and he said my sister and I are no better because we have a responsibility to our younger sibling. But I quickly told him that we did not make her, we did not choose her, and we do not accept responsibility for her. But he made us, which made him responsible, and that's why he should do better. I had to end the call and block him because he went crazy down the phone at me. But he also saw me when he was out with friends, and he ranted at me some more and told me that I shouldn't have said what I did. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? No, you're not the jerk. Your dad is a massive moron. For starters, I think it might be important to know that yes, he's doing this all on purpose. This guy's doing this almost in spite of you or to try and make you feel uncomfortable for cutting him out of your life. That's the only reason he's hyping up this daughter, just so he can turn this on you and be like, oh wow, look how awful your siblings are. I can't believe they would treat you like this. This is incredible. But like in reality, this is so unfair to you, it's not even funny. He has no right to treat you this way, in my opinion, and I think it's so disgusting that he would go about doing this, especially considering that your wishes are very much known by him. So no, you're not the jerk, and honestly, based on what you're describing, I can definitely see why you cut contact with him and why you don't want any kind of relationship with him moving forward. Am I the jerk for blaming my parents for the way that my sister reacted to their other daughter finding us? Because right now, everything is a massive mess, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my parents were always open with me and my 3 other siblings about the fact that they had another kid before us and gave them up for adoption. But our parents always said that they had a son that they had given up and that we had a brother given up for adoption, and that was something they were very clear on. Not only did they say that, but they also built up my sister as their only little girl that they had. They would make it a thing for her to be proud of. She was adored by the family, she was their special little girl and their one and only. She was our only sister, and we would all be a little extra protective of her as her older brothers. Well, 5 months ago, we found out they lied when their daughter tracked us down and said that she wanted to get to know us and be part of the family. Now, my parents were so excited. They were hardly able to contain themselves, but my sister freaked out and has refused to meet her. She brought up our parents' lies and said that she was never really as special as they claimed, and told them that she would never accept a sister and would never accept being made less special. Our parents acted so confused about her reaction, and they tried reassuring her and they encouraged her to meet their daughter, but it was all just a complete mess. My brothers and I have met this new sister, and I've only met her once, and I believe it's the same for my brothers, but I felt no instant connection to her, and it was just all kinds of awkward. She was really disappointed that she didn't get to meet all of us, and she came on very strong when we met her, which made the awkwardness much more awkward. I think she was expecting us to be more excited than we were, and a lot more into the idea of being a family with her. The fact my sister refused to even meet her was something that she mentioned 10 different times when she met with us, and apparently she still brings it up, which made my parents bring it up several times to me and to my brothers, I'm guessing. The other day, they were saying how upset they were that my sister refused to come to my mom's birthday party, all because they had invited our other sister. They were saying how they thought she'd handled it better and would be excited, but I told them that it was all their fault for lying our whole lives, and then hyping my sister up to be their only daughter. I told them that the way they did it probably made her feel like she lost their love when it was no longer the truth in her world. My parents then told me I shouldn't blame them, and they also accused me of putting my sister before them and their daughter, and how clear it is whose side I'm on based on the lack of warmth to their daughter. They also said it was unfair to blame them for the actions of an adult. So honestly, am I at fault in this situation? Because at this point, I'm seriously frustrated and I just don't know what to do. No, you're definitely not at fault. The parents literally lied to you and your sister your entire life. They built her up onto this pedestal of being like, oh, you're our precious little daughter. You're the only one around. We love you so much. But then they're like, oops, we lied. Here's your other sister. I hope you enjoy. Like, that is an awful thing to do to anybody, let alone to your daughter who you literally built up to be this special person in the family. So no, you're not the jerk. You're not the one that spread this lie for what, 22 years? And you're definitely not the one who brought this into the family and expected everybody to welcome this other person with open arms. Because I know if I was in the shoes of you or your sister, I would be absolutely furious with my parents. Would I be the jerk if I didn't let my mother-in-law come to my daughter's birthday party after all the drama she's put me and my husband through? Because right now, I'm seriously considering not allowing her to show up, but at this point, I really don't know what to do. Okay, for a bit of background, last year in the month of May, we all got into an argument over our dog chewing on a table that was given to us by my in-laws, and that spiraled into this massive drama. I made the comment to them that they never cared about my feelings, and then I gave them examples. And one of those examples started in Christmas of 2021. I wanted it to just be my husband, myself, and our daughter. My husband was deployed the year before, so it would have been our first Christmas together as a family of 3, and my dad had just passed away. But despite this, my mother-in-law made it out to everybody that they were not welcome just because they couldn't be here on Christmas Day because they live 7 hours away. And I wanted it to just be the 3 of us, but they stayed a whole week before Christmas, but it wasn't on Christmas Day. So apparently to her, she just wasn't welcome. My mother-in-law yelled at me and said, "My son was gone for a year and my dad died in 2019. I just quietly responded by saying, well, my dad died too. She said to me, yeah, but mine was my life. And for literally a year, I was told that I took that the wrong way. Fast forward to this year in April, they came down because my father-in-law's mother was not doing good. And we all got into another big fight for not wanting our 2-year-old to sleep in a hotel bed with them. My mother-in-law then called my husband for days, just completely bashing me. She would say, I know in your wife's heart of hearts that she never wanted us to have a relationship with my grandchild. And when she has another baby, she'll just keep that one from us as well. She would also tell my husband that I was the reason he never went to see his grandma in the nursing home, as well as telling him how inconsiderate I was for not telling my father-in-law that I was sorry for his loss. The first day that I actually got to see them and spend time with them was the day after my father-in-law's mom passed away. I didn't know how to go up to him, and we were out most of the day, and I didn't want to upset him in public and talk about it because nobody was bringing it up. I made them cookies to try and lighten up the mood, and I brought him an angel, and that was my way of saying that I was sorry for what he was going through. As soon as they walked into our house, they were upset that the puppy had gone to the bathroom on the floor, and that there were dishes in the sink, and that because of that, they apparently didn't feel welcome, so they wanted to go to a hotel. And they wanted to do that while also bringing our 2-year-old daughter, but we said no, and that's where the fighting began. And as soon as we got back home, that's when she kept calling my husband just to bash me. Now, when it comes to being my fault supposedly that my husband never went to see his grandma, I always went with him when he asked me to. It was really hard for him because she does have dementia, and she would always beg for him to get out of there. So to place the blame on me was so uncalled for. One of the last times she called to bash me that my husband was trying to defend me on was what she said about a year ago about my dad. She said, I was just explaining why I needed Christmas with my son and his daughter. And when my husband tried to defend me on that comment, she said, well, I actually had a relationship with mine. And she said this in a snarky tone. And you know what? That did it for me. I was tired of the gaslighting. I was tired of her making up lies and excuses and bashing me over a disagreement with my daughter and disrespecting me and my feelings about losing my dad. She's always the victim, and I don't want to fuel that by allowing her to be around my daughter after how she's treated not only me, but my husband as well. And he still does not talk to her either. She still has yet to apologize, and she still is making excuses and blaming me for all these things, which, by the way, had nothing to do with what we got into a fight about in the first place. And she's always changing up why she's hurt by what we did to her and can never give us a real reason on how it's our fault. She is just trying to play the victim, and I just can't stand it any longer. As for my husband and his dad, they have made up, and actually, his dad is divorcing his mom, and he is now wanting to move down here. So that's yet another reason why I don't know if she would be allowed at my daughter's party in August. I only get 1/3 birthday party for my daughter, and I honestly don't want the drama. So should I invite my mother-in-law to this party? What should I do? Okay, this is such an easy one, it's not even funny. Absolutely not. Do not invite this lady for a second. Look at all the unnecessary drama that she has dragged you specifically into. She has tarnished your name, she's blamed you for stuff that is absolutely uncalled for, and she crossed a serious line in my opinion when she tried to say, oh, well, at least I actually had a relationship with my dad. Like, that is such a disgusting thing to say that I think we can all understand why the husband is divorcing this idiot. So no, do not invite her for a second. She is going to ruin that party if she shows up, and your daughter definitely does not deserve that. My spoiled, rotten cousin refuses to be quiet at early hours of the morning, going as far as keeping me up until 4 in the morning sometimes, while refusing to listen to me in the slightest. And now, as a result, my aunt is incredibly angry with me, saying that I'm turning her daughter into a pushover, and that she should be allowed to do whatever she wants. Here's what happened. I'm a 22-year-old female, and I'm currently in grad school, and I come home during the breaks. I am on my summer break, and I live with my grandparents whom I've lived with my entire life, with my cousins and my aunt also living with us. I'm currently working a corporate job while I'm home for the summer, and my cousins are off of school, and their mom, who is my aunt, is also not working. Now, I have to wake up every day at about 5 o'clock in the morning. My cousin, who's 12 years old, sleeps in the room next to mine, and from midnight, even as long as 4 in the morning, she is either blasting music in her room or talking on her phone with her friends very loudly. The whole week, I had gotten 3 hours of sleep because of her. I would ask them to please be quiet because I have to wake up really early in the morning, but she would just disregard me entirely. And this has happened almost every break that I am home for. The last day of the week, I had still only had about 3 or 4 hours of sleep every single night, and I had to wake up at 6:30 in the morning on that day. Now, on that night, I had listened to her be loud all the way until 3 in the morning. So I went into her room and I yelled at her to please shut up because I have to wake up in 3.5 hours, stating that I haven't slept this whole week because of her. And at this point, I was so over it. I just needed sleep. Sometimes when I ask her to please lower her volume, I'll hear her yell out, "Hey Siri, make the volume higher." At this point, her mom is now mad at my grandma and myself, and she has refused to talk to us for nearly a week, all because she says it's not fair her daughter has to be quiet and not be allowed to do what she wants to do because of me during her summer break. I mean, it's not like I'm asking her to be quiet at 10 o'clock p.m. I'm just asking her to be quiet from 12 o'clock until the morning. She then told me that I'm making her daughter be a pushover and that they now have to pacify my needs, which at the bare minimum is literally just me going to sleep and not being woken up at 3 in the morning. So should I talk to my aunt? Because it's honestly just so ridiculous that she's giving me and my grandma the silent treatment over her daughter being loud at 3 in the morning. What should I do? Okay, for starters, I don't think it would be unreasonable to go to the aunt and be like, listen, this is so uncalled for, and at least try to find some kind of middle ground in general, but it does sound like she's super entitled and she's not going to listen for a second. So if I was in your shoes, I would probably get some really petty revenge by returning the favor in full. If they want to wake you up at 3 in the morning, fantastic. Now they're going to get woken up at 5 in the morning, 2 hours after they went to bed. Like, if they really want to play this game, if I was in your shoes, I would happily play this game. I would buy the biggest speakers I could possibly get, and I would play that noise through the walls until they go crazy. And sure, maybe I sound petty, but in my opinion, if you're gonna mess with somebody's sleep schedule and you refuse to do the adult thing and fix the problem, then you're definitely gonna feel my wrath when I return that favor. So hopefully this goes well for you, and hopefully your aunt can see reason if you do decide to go the route that I described, because in my opinion, she absolutely deserves it. I no longer want to show up for my sister-in-law after she has flaked out on me so many times, because right now I am very frustrated and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I've known my sister-in-law for about 3 years. We don't hang out individually, so everything that she's flaked out on has been a group event or some kind of group activity. She has flaked and ghosted all of my wedding dress appointments. She's flaked out on all of my birthdays. She opted out of getting makeup done together for my wedding, and the list just goes on and on. I've always come to every party and celebration, and I've even met her family, including coming to her super last-minute bachelorette party, and I even flew out of the country in May for her wedding, but she has never shown up for anything that honored me or something that was initiated by me ever. Now, although we are different, we do get along and have things in common, and we have confided in each other before. The most recent thing that she flaked out on was was a dinner cruise last month to celebrate my master's degree. Her husband couldn't make it, and he told me this very early on, but she was supposed to come. My mom paid for everybody's cruise tickets, but she bailed literally 2 hours before via text message, saying that she had a headache and asked to do something another time. Because of her history and the timing, I was upset, and it was honestly the last straw for me. My mother paid $100 per person, and I just hate consolation promises or consolation hangouts all because someone flaked out. Now, I was honest, but I was nice. I told her that my mom paid for her spot and that it made me sad that she had been unable to come to a lot of the things celebrating me and my fiance, and she didn't respond to me for 2 days due to her guilt and anxiety. Eventually, her husband basically told her that she needed to respond, since he too was pretty upset with her. Her reply was that she was truly sorry. She said to me, "It's not personal. It has everything to do with my anxiety, and I'm just struggling to get close to people." And it was so funny because she had no mention of her supposed headache, and she never even offered to reimburse my mom. I can understand struggling with closeness, but I don't think it's okay to be flaky. I mean, I was never proposing becoming best friends forever. She and her husband are relocating soon, as her husband got a job out of state, meaning that they will be visiting home at least 4 times a year. There's 2 goodbye parties coming up, one at their house and another laid-back one at our mother and father-in-law's house. But you know what? I just don't want to go to either of them. I want to give an excuse but still send a tiny gift. I'm kind of just wanting to draw boundaries and not keep giving efforts I'm not receiving back. What should I do? Okay, for starters, in my opinion, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with you not showing up to those goodbye parties. Like, why should you be expected to show up for her when she can't even show up the day of for a cruise that somebody else booked for her? Like, that fact alone is incredibly crazy to me, and there's literally just no good excuse. But also, I think in the future, it might be a good idea to just not invite her to anything anymore. Like, she clearly doesn't appreciate you or any of the efforts you put in for any kind of celebration, so maybe it's time to just stop inviting her altogether to really get the message across. Because the way she's acting and her attitude about this is completely wrong. And if I was in your shoes, I would also be incredibly upset. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.